riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me, as always, co-host extraordinaire, Gloria Estefan, to my Miami sound machine, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I feel patriotic. I feel energized. I'm soaring, Garrett.
Tim, I gotta say, I've never seen you so well put together. I don't know where you got this suit. My initial thought was you stole it from me, but I don't have anything this conservative. Frankly, Tim, I like the cut of your jib.
Garrett, I have to tell you something. Underneath the suit, I have adorned myself with feathers.
Oh, God damn it. I love the dedication, Tim. Again, I have to remind you, there is no visual element to this podcast whatsoever.
I know. I do it for you.
That's so disturbing. I have to ask, and then we won't dwell on it, because I just don't think we should encourage this kind of behavior, but how are those feathers attached?
I have taken the quill. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Sure.
I've stuck each one of those into my skin.
Oh my God. Okay. So were those feathers originally dusted with a light pink hue, or is that what I now assume has to be smatterings and smearings of your own personal blood?
I believe it to be my blood.
Well, you look great.
Yeah. But if it helps at all, they are all authentic eagle feathers. I found a whole big pile of eagles and...
Wait, you found a pile of eagles. Dead eagles?
They were dead when I found them, yes. I made an eagle trap,
them?
Garrett.
You sure did. I don't even want to know what that is. Okay, Tim, at the interest of you not openly confessing to a felony, what's got you so patriotic this week?
This week we have been listening to and will be talking about John Ashcroft's Let the Eagle Soar.
Thank God we invented the Prepisode, folks. Otherwise, we'd just never have the opportunity to bring something like this to your doorstep. And you've got to be saying, Garrett, obviously to a lesser extent, Tim, John Ashcroft, he's not a musician. What are you talking about? He was in the Senate for years. But musician? Yes. That's right. We do the hard work here. We're out there with a staff of, I think we're up to what, 36, 37 now?
Yeah, they're all mostly terrible, though.
Yeah, to be fair, most of them are unpaid. They're in the probationary period, so I don't know how they're feeding themselves. I don't know where they're staying. We do allow Kevin to stay in Brad's room while he remains at last seen the South China Sea. We have people out, top men, on the case, determining what exactly...
You say top men, they are unpaid interns.
Well, sure. They're not even men. It's Brittany and Danielle.
Right. They form the core of our investigative unit.
Oh, well, the naval branch for sure.
Right.
And we set them sail on the East Coast, 3 weeks ago? So they should hit the South China Sea in, no less than 4 months?
Depends which direction they go.
I would recommend the faster route, but I'm no seaman. Tim, do you hate this song?
I think I love this song, Garrett. It is so profoundly ill-conceived, and it's so sincere. It's perfect. It perfectly encapsulates the Bush years. It might perfectly encapsulate the current mess. I might love this song, Garrett.
Wow, I did not expect that.
What about you? Do you hate this?
I do hate this. I do, in fact, hate this. This is bad. This is everything we fought against in WW2, right?
Maybe. Are you saying this is Nazism or some sort of fascist Japanese?
It's fascism.
Okay, it is
disguised
fascism.
As patriotism.
Right, so
disguised
Nazism.
as really bad songs.
Yeah.
Is this the first time your Ashcroft has been John'd?
Absolutely not, Garrett. I actually heard John Ashcroft perform this song live. I went to a live John Ashcroft show. So I was probably at home over a winter or Christmas break in Houston, but I saw something about John Ashcroft coming to speak at a local church, and for whatever reason, that ad ended with a tiny clip of him singing this song. At that time, I was this contrarian little shit who hated the Bush administration for no real reason other than people in Texas seemed super on board with it. So I told my dad that I was absolutely going to this, and he said, I'm going too. I think that he was concerned that I would believe in handcuffs.
John Ashcroft?
Yeah, basically. He was afraid that I was going to get a front row seat and be taken out in handcuffs or something. So we sat for about 45 minutes or so and watched him give some, dumb speech about morals. And then, Garrett, he sang for at least as long as his speech was. He sang and he sang and it was magnificent and I was weeping from holding in laughter. It was, my dad kept elbowing me because I kept being like,
oh, I would have dug a hole in my thigh trying not to laugh.
This song was his big closer and he began to cry cry at the sheer emotion of that grand finale. I think my life peaked that day. I may never see anything as funny or weird ever again. I feel like the reason we're doing this Prepisode is mostly to remind everyone that this was a thing or to introduce them to it, because it is emblematic of everything that's wrong with our country and simultaneously, Garrett, everything that's right. You can go to a church in Houston and see a recently resigned Attorney General of the United States of America just make a giant ass of himself. It was amazing.
Did you know any of the songs he sang?
Oh God, no. Well, he did do Love the One You're With, but other than that, no.
Okay, so you did know one. Okay.
The rest of them seemed very Christian.
This guy is balls deep on Jesus.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow, that's quite a history, Tim. Okay, so does he have like a little disc man, like on the podium with him and he just hits play?
He didn't bring a band with him, if that's what you're asking. John Ashcroft and Crazy Horse. Is this the first time you have ever been anointed with that John Ashcroft oil?
Sadly, no. You introduced me to it, and then briefly it would appear as the video associated with the Moment of Zen on The Daily Show. But you and I would just send this to each other randomly every couple of years, just as a reminder, like never forget. This happened.
Right. We both completely forgot about 9/11, completely forgot that it ever happened until somebody reminded us, but we never forgot about this.
Right. Hard time admitting. All right, Tim, that's your history, which is just amazing, and my history. But before we get into this song, I think we need to understand a little bit about the man himself. So take us on a brief history of the one, the only Jonathan Ashcroft.
John David Ashcroft was born in 1942 in Chicago, although his family would move to Springfield, Missouri pretty soon after that, where his father was a minister for a weird sect of Christianity called Assemblies of God, and his dad was simultaneously the president of both Evangel University and Central Bible College. This man loved the Lord, Garrett, and he raised his son to love the Lord.
Balls deep.
John did not go to either of those colleges. He went to Yale, where he joined the St. Elmo Society, which is the secret society I believe that you join when Skull and Bones gives you a pretty definitive no.
Yeah, it's definitely a safety secret society.
And then he went to University of Chicago for law school. He was a pretty big fan of war and a big supporter of the Vietnam War. Not personally, he got 7 draft deferments. War was not what John Ashcroft was meant for in this life. He was destined for music by way of politics, and also for sending other people to war and spying on other people. Really everyone, I think. In the 1970s, he did record a gospel record called Truth Volume 1 Edition 1. In 1972, he lost a Republican primary for a Missouri congressional seat, but then luckily, the Missouri governor appointed him to be the interim state auditor. In 1974, however, he lost that position in an election, mostly because he wasn't an accountant and did not know how to do that job. He did, though, get hired as an assistant state attorney alongside one of our personal heroes, Clarence Thomas. Well, I shouldn't say that. Alongside Clarence Thomas. He was elected governor of Missouri in 1984 and 1988, where he really Republicaned pretty hard, and so as a reward in 1994, he was elected to the U.S. Senate. Once he reached the Senate, John Ashcroft joined a barbershop quartet called the Singing Senators alongside Trent Lott, who you might know as a Russian lobbyist and notable Strom Thurmond fan, Larry Craig, who you might know as a Minneapolis airport restroom indecent behavior enthusiast,
soliciting sex from an undercover cop.
We've all been there. And Jim Jeffords, who, as far as I know, is a lovely man. In 2000, he was in a very tight race for Senate re-election with Mel Camahan, who actually died before the election, although there was not enough time to take Mel's name off the ballot, and the voters of the good state of Missouri decided that they would rather have a dead guy represent them than John. So Ashcroft became part of history as the only Senate race to ever have been won by a dead guy.
Yeah, he literally lost to a ghost.
We've all done that too.
No.
Well, not a Senate race, but we've all lost, like, a hand of poker or whatnot to a ghost. Luckily, Bush won the presidency, sorta. And so Ashcroft got to be Attorney General of the U.S. Before taking office, he had his father anoint him with cooking oil for some reason that involves the lesser read parts of the Bible, I think. Is that
like head to toe?
I don't know if it was head to toe. There was no video of it, but I assume he was nude from at least the waist up.
Or waist down.
He was either totally nude or one half of him was nude. And presumably his father poured oil over his head. But again, it was just from the pantry. It's canola oil, probably.
Could be vegetable.
Yeah.
Probably not peanut. So he lubed him up. Then what?
Then he was ready to take office. And he did.
I never realized he was so greasy.
Yeah, that's how he fit into those suits. After 9/11, Ashcroft helped to get the U.S. Patriot Act passed, making a series of policies kind of ignoring civil liberties that had, for the most part, been going on for some time, but were now legal, as well as some other fun new stuff.
You know what, Tim? Another thing that Ashcroft ignored, at least according to 2 FBI agents interviewed for the 9/11 Commission, were several warnings of an imminent Al-Qaeda attack.
Oh, sure, yeah. Bin Laden determined to strike in the U.S. or something like that was the title of it.
Well, I think the title he read was Tennis Lessons at 3.
Well, again, he was so slippery. You pick up papers, sometimes they just slip right out of your hand. It's not his fault.
Maybe. And then, a nation is changed forever.
Right. Speaking of being changed forever, in 2002, he got one too many embarrassing erections while walking past the Spirit of Justice statue, which featured a pretty sexy bare breast in the Justice Department. So he had curtains put around it because he is an insane person. While he was Attorney General, he held prayer meetings every day, and then he resigned in 2005. And Garrett, we should thank him for his service because, as he stated in his resignation letter, the objective of securing the safety of Americans from crime and terror has been achieved. And in his defense, he's right. Since 2005, there has been no terrorism or crime within the borders of the United States, or at least the continental United States. I don't know what Alaska or Hawaii is up to.
No, who could know? They're so far away. All right, go ahead, Tim. After he retires, what does he get on up to?
Well,
probably just fishing and, not harming anybody any further?
For the most part, and also starting his own lobbying and legal service firm. He represented the Israeli aircraft industry, the country of Qatar, convicted Russian arms trafficker Victor Bout, and my personal favorite, Blackwater/Z/Academy, the Eric Prince hilarious little business.
Right, private mercenaries for hire.
Right, and he was also briefly the ethics chief for Blackwater, which is something everyone should have on their resume.
Good Lord.
Now, you might be asking yourself, how, with all of these wonderful accomplishments, did he have time to write and perform this song? Well, according to BeliefNet.com, or perhaps BeliefCom.net, Ashcroft thought of the idea for this song while walking on his Missouri farm in 1997. So this actually predates 9/11, right? This was written...
What does that matter?
Well, Garrett, this has a very warmongery tone to it.
Oh, right. Sorry. The jingoistic spirit of nation building and the destruction of other people's cultures. Sorry. Go ahead.
Right,
Go ahead.
right.
I can see how you might draw a thin line to that.
But what he was actually writing this about, what he was thinking about whenever he wrote this was, and I'm quoting here, what Bill Clinton's moral problems would do to the United States' spiritual condition.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Bill Clinton was going to molest our Holy Spirit, I believe.
That sounds right, but doesn't his lobbyist and legal firm represent arms traders and murderers and tyrants?
Yes, but
Well,
no one had ever...
Jesus would be on board with that.
Garrett, do we have any evidence that any of those people ever got a blowjob while being married to somebody that he also hates?
No, I don't have any recorded evidence of that happening.
So those guys
no.
are fine.
God, that's a really weird way to define who's good and who's bad, right?
Yeah, well, I think also it helps if you have a different letter next to your name. Also, while at the Department of Justice, he distributed printouts of this to other employees so that they could sing along with this. He really, really, really believes in this song, and it is just terrible.
And he has no problem abusing his power.
Oh yeah, that too.
I don't get to go to work and just force people that work with me to do my bidding.
You do that. You do exactly that.
Shh.
Fair enough.
God damn it.
The good thing about doing this episode is that this actually can double as the first episode of our new show, Why I Hate This American Life.
Why I Hate This American Life.
It's like American Life, but far more negative.
It's going to be confusing, and I think we're going to get sued by NPR.
No, Garrett. It's a criticism of it. We'll have John Ashcroft represent us. It'll be fine.
All right, Tim, that brings us up to date. Let's get into this song. Folks, there's only one way to hear it. You got to go and you got to watch it on YouTube. We're going to play a little bit here, but for the love of God, it's like 4 minutes and everything about it is amazing. Just go watch it. But here it is, a little taste.
Let the eagle soar like she's never soared
Garrett, this man loves his country.
Oh, to a point that I almost can't make fun of him because it's so earnest.
I feel like he might be in love with his country.
Oh. Like he might cover his genitals in
Garrett,
peanut butter and ask his country to lick it off?
No. He's embarrassed about his country erections. Very similar to that statue of Lady Justice.
Okay.
He's getting awkward erections thinking about his country.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. But musically, this is perfect for what he wants to do. It's exactly as schmaltzy and terrible as this song demands.
But the music, what...
Oh, sure, yeah.
What instruments are on there?
It seems to be an attempt at putting together like an orchestra, maybe?
Putting your keyboard on orchestra setting does not make it an orchestra.
I disagree,
And that's what it
sir.
sounds... Well, none of it sounds like a real instrument.
If this was a satirical song, I think it would be absolutely brilliant.
Sure.
And before we get into the actual lyrics, vocally, does he have a good voice? I think technically he does, but he holds on to notes for way too long and it's just a very awkward delivery, but I don't think he has a bad voice.
I think it is better than you'd expect it to be, but it's not good. No one's going to pay you to hear that. But you don't sound horrible.
Yeah, you're really Bruce Willising it.
Yes. Oh, man, we have to do The Life of Bruno. Oh, my God. You've probably never even heard that
No, I
before.
haven't.
It's a beast.
I think the one thing this song is missing is a little bit more vibrato, right?
It builds too much. He goes one level too high, and it doesn't pay off. There's no big, cymbal clash or, it's just a man and a boombox and a bunch of old women that had no idea that he was going to sing at the end of his speech about morality.
Yeah, I think it's just a man and his love for his country.
God, what if he has creepy septuagenarian groupies just getting sinful HJs in the back of that prayer room, whatever the hell's behind a church? I don't know what's back there, the rectory?
I think it's a dumpster. I think there's a dumpster back there.
No, that can't be right. That's where the priest sleeps.
I don't think the priest lives at the church.
Yeah, sure, you goddamn right he does.
No.
Once again, Tim, listeners, let Tim know he's wrong. The priest lives in the church.
No, that can't be possible. Maybe
Catholic
in Europe.
priests. Listen, don't bring Europe into this.
Yeah, we are not here to talk about Europe. We are here to talk about America. Let's
Priests. Oh, right. Can we get into the lyrics now?
do it. Absolutely.
I'm going to try not to read the whole song. I'm so sorry.
Feel free to read the whole song.
This eagle's place is in the sky. She's still got a lot of flying to do. Tim, who's the eagle?
So I thought about that for quite some time.
I'm glad you did.
I feel like the obvious answer is America, but there's some other
Yes.
options. It could be President Bush. This might be
I
some.
didn't consider that.
Oh.
He probably wrote it when Bush was still the owner of the fucking Rangers.
Well, that's true, yeah. Okay, so it can't be Bush.
No, could be him. Is he the eagle?
See, that's interesting. If that's the case, then this seems like something he was planning to sing at his own inauguration.
Or his first world tour. I think there is a market for ultra conservative, I don't know what to call this. We'll call it music for the sake of brevity. I think there's a role in the market for ultra conservative pop music. Now, unfortunately for him, he is the worst songwriter ever. So he's got no shot at it. But I'm wondering if for this eagle to do more flying, to let this eagle soar, Tim, this could have been a cry for help. It was the only way he could secretly allude to his desire to let his freak flag fly and walk out of the house with maybe no tie at all. Still a suit, of course, and a belt that matches your pants.
Maybe
and,
it's just like a loosened tie.
Yeah, let's not go crazy. Jesus is still watching.
Right? He didn't want to see that dirty, dirty neck.
Ugh, can you imagine seeing the front of a neck dimple?
There's some very specific language in here. He says she's still got a lot of flying to do, right? So it implies that this is somebody or something that's kind of downtrodden. Maybe they're, as you were saying, stuck in some sort of dead-end United States Attorney General job. But if the eagle is America, this is some pre-Make America Great language, right? Because the eagle still has a lot of flying to do. It doesn't seem to have a very high opinion of the eagle.
When I read she's still got a lot of flying to do, I read that to be she's flown so high for so long, don't count her out. She's still got more flying to do, though the eagle is having some issues.
That's all I'm saying. The eagle's having some
this
issues.
is certainly a dip in the quality of the eagle.
Right.
We used to have a bird that just would not quit, but Ashcroft is saying this bird's still got a lot of flying to do, so don't count the eagle out. Though she's cried a bit for what we've put her through. Can birds cry?
They can, yes.
No, they can't.
They have tear ducts. I looked this up. Yes,
You're
they
lying.
do. Nope.
You're lying.
Nope, I am not.
Is it emotional or is it environmental?
Oh, that I don't know. I don't know if birds can feel sorrow. I assume they can. Why wouldn't they be
They
able
could
to?
also cry with jubilation.
I mean, I can say this. I really feel that I am embodying an eagle at the moment, and
I don't.
I do. From my experience, being an eagle is incredibly painful. Literally, your body just hurts all the time. And
mean, you're
I am
crying.
Crying a little bit, yeah.
Sure, not uncommon on this show, but
Right, but less than usual, I think. So maybe it's...
it's hard to say. We'll keep going then. And here's where things get interesting, Tim. In the dews, the damps, the watchfires of a nation torn by war. What's that mean?
The dews and the damps, I'm not sure. I assume you have something very specific in mind.
I do. Tim, I dug deep. I went down a bit of a rabbit hole and I wish I maybe was in incognito mode. I might be getting a phone call, but I think I have figured out what both the dews and the damps are by working backwards from the watchfire.
Okay.
All right, so we'll start with the watchfire. A fire maintained during the night as a signal or for the use of someone who is on a watch. So that's kind of probably what everyone is picturing.
Yep.
All right, so then I thought, all right, these things are probably military oriented, and he's already said it's a nation torn by war. So then I found DEW. DEW is the Distant Early Warning System, a radar system in North America set up during the Cold War for the early detection of a missile attack.
Okay.
Then I was like, all right, I know the watchfire, I know the DEWs. What's the DAMP? The DAMP, Tim, is the Downrange Anti-Missile Measurement Program. It was an applied research project to obtain scientific data just prior to and during re-entry on intermediate and intercontinental ballistic range missiles. The program was funded by ARPA, a predecessor to DARPA, under the technical direction of the Army Ordnance Missile Command during the period January 1, 1959 through September 1963.
Jesus
the DEWs,
Christ.
the DAMPs, and the watchfire. This is a story of war.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely that. Those are very specific terms that I would argue John Ashcroft shouldn't have known about.
As a man who fervently avoided battle during our nation's time of need and then sent countless others to their grave, I wouldn't expect
Ashcroft
him...
or you?
John Ashcroft.
Okay.
Wow.
You've done the same thing, Garrett. Don't pretend.
Tim, listen, we have a show life and we have a personal life.
Oh, yeah,
and there needs to be some
you're
distance between the two.
I apologize.
Thank you. Anyway, yeah, I would not expect him to know any of those words. He's not a man of the gun.
No, he's a
He
man.
represents people who are men of guns.
Yeah.
Now, particularly arms dealers. Tim, fun fact, that arms dealer that he represents with his law firm that is somehow embedded inside of his lobbyist group, not super sure why that's allowed, but whatever. That guy has a movie, Lord of War, based on him, starring Nicolas Cage.
Yes. Oh, I do know who this is.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just another fun fact I gathered.
I'm always happy to get a Nicolas Cage connection to any of our artists.
Oh, absolutely. Now, luckily for me, I have an add-on for my Google search bar that anything that I put in is then immediately concatenated with Nicolas Cage. So
Smart.
all of my searches are Cage related.
Yep. Very smart.
Yeah, the song continues, and I want everyone to consider two things. This is either about the country America, or it is about John Ashcroft and his secret desire to live a life of the show. Let the eagle soar like she's never soared before. Soar with healing in her wings as the land beneath her sings. Only God, no other kings. What?
He wants to live in some sort of theocracy, I think is what that means, right?
Well, that's the irony of it is, at least in today's society, most far right-leaning Republicans are very scared of theocracies.
I disagree. I don't think that's the case. I think they are scared of theocracies that are led by anyone other than their God, but I think they're very pro-theocracy.
So basically, you're saying that the most extreme of them are essentially lobbying for a Christian caliphate?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't go that far. I would say that they want to live under Sharia law. However, they want it to be Christian Sharia law. Yes. We're going to lose a lot of listeners on this one. At least 50%. I apologize.
We didn't mean for this to be so political.
Right. Next week, we'll be back to making fun of somebody dumb. Don't worry.
Well,
you know what? Listen to the rest of it. Maybe it'll make you laugh. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
right now, I'm just sick.
Yeah. No, but
So-
that's absolutely what a lot of these super right-wing folks want. Yeah.
It's crazy because if you replace God with Allah,
Oh, I like that. Let the mighty eagle soar. Soar soar with healing in her wings as the land beneath her sings. Only Allah, no other kings. Let the mighty eagle soar.
Tim, you are going to start a panic. For the record, the show is agnostic, at least. Tim is wildly Christian. I don't know what you are. Are you this thing? Snake handler? Whatever Bono was? I don't know.
I mean, I've handled snakes before, if that makes me a snake handler. I do not believe that God protects me from those snakes. I do it to see the fear in the snake's eyes. Also, I'm dressed like a bird typically while I'm doing it.
We've got to get you to stop doing that.
So, okay, but it continues. The country's far too young to die. We've still got a lot of climbing to do. Whenever you say something like the country is too young to die, what I'm hearing is this tacit admission that it's on a downslope, right? There's still a lot of flying to do. It's a nation torn by war. We can make it if we try. She's too young to die. Oh God, this can't be how it ends. Not like this.
But Tim, he is writing this song near the end of one of the longest periods without any sort of actual conflict.
I mean, I would disagree with that. I think there was a lot of people that died under that period across the world as the direct result of President Clinton. However, yes, overtly, but...
What did we have? Sarajevo? What else?
Kosovo, there was the...
Are you going to throw the Sudan in my face again?
Well, I was going to go with Iraq first, but sure.
Oh, how many people died in Iraq?
Like half a million.
Tim, those were secret conflicts.
Sure.
We have secret conflicts, which we do not admit, like Yemen and the entire continent of Africa. Don't even get into it. And then we have like formal conflicts that are not wars, because then you'd have to talk to Congress. And we hadn't seen anything since Desert Storm.
That's true. You know what? You're right. So whenever he's lamenting the state of this country, what he's lamenting is the fact that we are not in war. That's what makes us great. That's when the eagle soars, is whenever it's a plane flying over another country, dropping some sort of death.
He could just be sad that the Republicans failed to take back the presidency with the stellar performance of one Robert Dole.
Yeah, I get it.
Because I don't know what else was happening at that time. I think your theory that we weren't out destroying other countries might be what's got him so sad.
Yeah. Do you think he's currently disappointed that this didn't replace our national anthem?
Oh, absolutely. I assume he sits in a not quite finished basement somewhere outside of Baltimore County with a small Casio keyboard, constantly trying to recreate the magic that is Let the Eagle Soar, and he just can't capture it, Tim. At the end, it's just cheap imitations of his own previous work. It's Let the pigeon fly. No. So he's sad for Merca. She's down on her luck, but he says don't give up. She's still got a little bit of fight in her, and he demands that we let that eagle soar over and over. And then I do want to touch on this, only God, no other kings. That's repeated at least 4 times in the song. He seems really keen on including God, and the use of referring to God as king.
Mm-hmm. He is our king and our Lord and Savior.
Is he saying that God is ultimately king of the United States?
Yes, of course.
What do you mean, of course?
Let me put it to you this way. Ted Cruz, whenever he was running for Senate, he said, I am a Christian first, I'm an American second, I'm a Republican third, right? So he's saying that he loves his country more than his party, which I think is probably bullshit given that Trump fundraising he did. But he also wanted to make it very clear that he loves his God more than his country. So if God tells him to do something, you remember when everyone was scared about this with Kennedy, whenever they said, oh, he's going to take his marching orders from the Pope, which is not racist, but certainly bigoted.
Yeah.
I think it's the same kind of thing. I think he was stressing that if America's policy, if America's position ever comes into conflict with his version of God, he's going to take God's side against the United States despite being a United States senator.
Pretty sure George Bush did some stuff because God told him to.
Oh, he did? It was mostly his gut. He was hungry. His tummy was rumbling.
Yeah, I do work for my gut.
Yeah.
A lot of people use their brains. I'm more of an instinct man. Already got the banner. Mission accomplished. All right, Tim, that kind of brings us to the end of the song. He wants this eagle to soar. I don't know if it's his self-esteem, his singing career, the country he loves, or the erection that he constantly gets when he passes that marble boob. Either way, he says don't count him out.
Yeah. I thought the only way for this to have happened is if he just has no friends. And then I got sad for him because he does have no friends. Trent Lott resigned in shame. Larry Craig resigned in shame. Jim Jeffords died. Those are the other 3 singing senators. He's all alone. He has no friends.
Wow, you want to give him a call?
No, he's no Diane Warren. I'm not going to woo John Ashcroft. That can't be my life.
See if he wants to get the band back together?
He 100% wants to get the band back together. You go over to his house and he's just like, hey man, so I've been practicing bass. You wanna go down to that half-finished basement and jam together?
I do not.
No, I don't.
Oh, you got a really nice record player here. What do you got here? Oh, these are all yours. Oh my. There's got to be 200 copies of one record of you singing Let the Eagle Soar. Tim, do we need to talk about the music video? It's as though Christopher Guest shot it.
Absolutely.
It seems like documentary now. Like
Yes.
where it's wildly out of focus. At some points it just zooms way out and then zooms way in and then just jets to the left for no reason. All while John Ashcroft sings the worst song you've ever heard. It's amazing. Go watch it again. All right, Tim, do we have any comments or reviews for this?
We have a few YouTube comments. Augie87 said, every time I see this, I think it's something Principal Skinner would do. I think that's spot on.
That's great.
Lord Benjamin Carter said 9/11's greatest hits, which makes me laugh, although I assume it's going to annoy you.
Yep.
He out Shatner's Shatner, let the mighty ego soar.
Oh, wow. That was right there.
Yeah. And then, so NFL Adam 86 says, from the perspective of a patriot, I think this song is great. But because I'm aware of all the corruption with John Ashcroft, I say this man is full of shit. That's a guy who likes the song despite not liking John Ashcroft. He did not let that get in his way.
No, this motherfucker can jam. Terrible.
This is from William Paul. He says, if anyone is an American, you can appreciate the man, the song, and his love of America. I think that's accurate.
I do not. I mean, I appreciate the man, the song, and his love for America, but
Right.
it's not healthy.
But you are American, so I think that tracks.
Oh, shit. You're right. Tim, who is this for?
So every time a Republican presidential candidate asks, do you think Bruce Springsteen will mind if we use Born in the USA at our campaign event? There should be some staffer there that should say, he's currently unavailable, but we have the perfect song that isn't ironic at all, like that song, and is pretty much exactly what you're looking for. I think that's the scenario for this.
Yes. I think if I ever got married, it would be for my first dance.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that would be a really good one, because
I feel like every wedding you go to, this should be the first dance. You can make
I
that
cannot
happen.
wait for your wedding. Yeah, I could definitely make that happen. It is not hard to hack a soundboard at a wedding of a good friend or family member who does not expect you to sabotage that. But it makes for a great story. Is there anything we haven't said about this?
I don't think so.
It's so creepy. He's fetishizing America.
Oh yeah, he wants to have sexual intercourse with the United States of America, or possibly failing that with a symbol of the United States of America, like an eagle. And I'm just now realizing that dressed as an eagle like I am, I might be in danger.
If you found yourself within 30 meters of one John Ashcroft, he might try to fuck you. You are dressed like...
You know, that's actually the third time in my life that somebody has warned me of that exact same thing.
You once were in a pair of hot pants and a halter top that just said, I love freedom.
Yeah.
And the third time you were just on a White House tour and somebody whispered it completely out of context in your ear.
And that person, Garrett, was John Ashcroft.
He likes a good cat and mouse game. Yeah. Tim, do you hate this song?
This is the worst thing ever. He should be super embarrassed about it. I'm embarrassed for him, and I kind of hate him, so that shouldn't be the case.
Do you hate it?
I think I love it still. It's so
God damn it,
great.
I knew you were gonna
makes
say
me so
it.
happy, Garrett. This is a Tim and Eric bit. Objectively, of course I hate this. It's the worst song we have featured. This is too bad for Corey Feldman to cover.
Yeah, this is too bad for our show.
Yeah, but God, it makes me so happy. What about you? Do you hate this?
You have turned me around.
Yes.
I am on board. You got me there. I don't hate it. Thank you, Mr. Ashcroft. Do another. All right, Tim. That brings us to listener mail. That is where Tim and I each pick one piece of correspondence from you, the listeners, and we read it on the show.
This is from Austin Counts, who writes in fairly frequently, and the subject is, I saw Darth Vader sing 21 Pilots at karaoke. He says, the subject line is probably more exciting than the actual story.
Terrible way to start a story.
Yeah, shame on you, Austin. This week's episode reminded me of a week ago being at a bar for a friend's birthday and they karaoke. I feel like you forgot a word there. Some guy named TJ, who was wearing a Darth Vader armor shirt with a cape attached in the back and a Darth Vader hat, would go outside and take rips from his vape and then come back in and try to do karaoke, and presented himself as super cocky in his abilities to do so. One song he did was that aforementioned 21 Pilots song, where he stopped rapping or singing a lot of the parts, and if I remember correctly, there was a whoa oh O break in the song where he just completely skipped and didn't even attempt to do.
What a sad Vader.
Later, he did an Eminem song and did the same thing. And just like that, he vanished from the bar in a thick vape cloud.
Huh, all right, that's weird.
It is weird.
Tim, do you ever go to the karaoke? You ever been karaoke?
No, not really my thing.
I have done it a couple of times, and I once competed in and won a Ray Charles competition at Six Flags.
How old were you?
17?
All right, that's weird. I've never actually participated, but one Halloween, it was one of those years where daylight savings fell on it, so you got an extra hour of Halloween at the bar, so everyone was just completely fucking shit-faced. It was right after Poker Face, the Lady Gaga song, was popular, and right after the South Park thing with Cartman singing it, and so I just remember conservatively 60% of the songs was that, with assholes doing that Cartman voice over it.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Even if everyone was really good at it, and I'm sure no one was.
The first guy that does it is kind of funny if he's super good at it.
Yes.
But that's the only time that's not terrible.
Fair enough. All right. That brings me to my email. This is a very recent email, I think just hours old. It's from Brennan. He writes, Dear Tim, and to a lesser extent, G. Shizzle. Fuck you, Brennan.
I like him.
Yeah, I bet you do. In episode 46, Papa Roach, Garrett says the name G. Roach is objectively bad. He's quoting me there. I do feel like that sounds like me. I'm interested in hearing Garrett's rubric for what makes a good nickname. Of course, I have a strict set of criteria for what makes for a good nickname. 1, you cannot give it to yourself. 2, it has to encapsulate some key part of your personality that is easily recognizable to somebody the moment they hear the nickname, with an exception. It can also be something that is so incredibly opposite of what that person is that it's clearly an ironic nickname, at which point it would still become abundantly obvious.
Okay, let me ask you, which one was Suckballs?
That brings me to my next criteria. In the event that you either already have a nickname or you're so terrible that I'm not going to put any effort into giving you a nickname, I'm going to call you Suckballs.
So the default is just Suckballs.
Technically the default is Laser.
Oh, yeah.
I reserve the nickname, and this is true, folks, in real life, because I love a good nickname. Tim, I used to call you, for a while it was Beefcake. We're talking muscular ladies or gentlemen, who's to say. But now Tim's a much more svelte young man. In any event, then I called you a series of women's names for years, right?
Yeah, you really stole that one from Scrubs. Go on.
I did. I'll admit that. But I stuck to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's most of the criteria.
The other one you had for me was Nitro, because you called Suckballs Laser before he became Suckballs. And so for one Halloween, you insisted that the two of us dress as American Gladiators Nitro and Laser and then fight.
You did do that. But you also, perhaps uncomfortable with how incredibly tight that unitard was, drank a lot of the whiskey in the world.
Garrett, you're thinking of the first year. The second year was whenever we actually did this. The first year I dressed as Nitro. Laser didn't do anything, and I got super drunk before the party and just passed out, and then you kicked me a bunch.
Those were life-saving kicks.
Well, they were testing to see if I was dead. You wanted to see when you needed to start getting your story straight.
What does that mean? I didn't give you any of that alcohol. Those were caring kicks. If anything, I would have quietly left the party so someone else could deal with it. But hey, I would have let somebody know, probably. The only other criteria I want to make sure to address is that it doesn't have to be derogatory, but it shouldn't be. No one has ever given anyone a nickname like Bono.
Right.
It can even be like kind of cool. Like, let's pretend for a moment Tim really liked basketball. Like, really liked it. If I decided to call him Hoops.
Oh,
which I'm not,
I like that.
No.
Garrett, I'm
God.
Hoops. I'm Hoops.
Tim, no.
I'm Hoops.
That would be okay, because it's not complimentary, it's just a fact. That guy likes basketball. But if I called him like LeBron, no one's calling their friend LeBron.
What if I loved basketball, but was so demonstrably terrible at it, but kept insisting on doing it? I think then LeBron becomes an okay unique
Well, sure,
nickname.
because then it already satisfies previous criteria.
Okay.
As long as it's making fun of you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
Now, let me ask you this. In what way does G. Roach not fulfill those criteria?
Well, it just doesn't make any sense. No one who heard G. Roach would have any idea why someone would call me that.
Well, what if they're listeners of the show? Then they would know.
Why?
I don't want to call you G. Roach just out in public. I want to call you G Roach on the show.
Even on the show, it's not indicative of my personality. It's just you shouting G Roach.
I don't respect you enough to actually come up with something that revolves
Then it should
around
be
you.
like G Laser.
I don't default straight to Laser like you do. I default to Roach. So you're G Roach. Like I would be T Laser or T Nitro or whatever in this scenario that I don't like.
First of all, I don't know why you think the first initial is correct. Not that I really want to be called Roach either, but it might be better than this. But I wouldn't call you T Laser. You'd just be Laser. But trust me, Tim, you're a suckballs all the way.
No, I am a hoops. You do not call me suckballs. I will quit this show if I ever hear you call me suckballs again. I will not stand for that. That is worse than sucker. I have told you exactly how I feel about being called a sucker, and I will not stand for it, all right? I won't call you G-Roach, but so help me God if you try to call me Suckballs. Suckballs is already a different guy. That's Suckballs.
His name's Jack.
His name is Jack, but no one calls him that anymore because he's Suckballs now. My point is, you can call me Hoops if you want to come up with a nickname. That's it.
All right, Tim, I will not call you Suckballs, but I am certainly not calling you Hoops. All right. You can fucking forget that.
I feel like we've come to a compromise here.
Yeah, détente. Okay, Tim, let's move on to music news of the weird. I'll kick us off. Sad news. Amoeba Records Hollywood has sold their building as of June 15th and will be replaced with a set of mixed business condos and retail. So if you do find yourself in the Hollywood area, I would highly recommend go check out Amoeba Records. It should still be there for the next year or so. I don't think they have another place to go yet. So have you ever been to that one?
No, I've been to the one in San Francisco.
I think I've been to that one with you.
Yep.
Next up, Tim, did you hear about Tom Hanks attending a local festival recently?
I did not.
Well, he was at Stagecoach Fest, which is a country festival I was not aware of, but I believe his wife was singing at it. So he was in attendance and he attempted to go purchase a beer. And I'm going to actually quote T. Hanks here. He went up to the old beer stand and he goes, "Hey, how you doing?" Then he gives him a couple of seconds to, in his words, let the H-bomb drop. Tom Hanks. "Hi, how you doing? Nice to see you."
There's a good name for you.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. Then he goes, "Hi, how you doing? Nice to see you. Could I have a beer, please?" And they go, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem. Can we see your ID bracelet?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't have one." And he goes, "Look, not only am I who you think I am also 62 goddamn years old." Literally Tom Hanks' words. I love him. Ultimately, they would not give him the beer, explaining to him that it was made explicitly clear that no matter how old you were, you could not give them a beer unless they had a wristband or you would be fired. So the poor manager of the booth just stood there apologizing to Tom Hanks while somebody ran to one of the entrances and got him a beer wristband.
Why didn't he just give money to somebody that was standing next to them and
I don't know.
A beer? Seems easier.
Well, I think his wife was getting ready to go perform and
right, that seems also quicker.
Chaz probably wasn't there. You know Chaz?
I do, yeah.
What's his other, Colin?
Yeah, Colin's fun.
Yeah.
Typically brothers named Colin, not the best brother.
Ooh, shots fired. Tim, do you know Korn has announced a new album?
I did hear this.
It is titled The Nothing. I believe they owe some money to The Neverending Story. Isn't that called The Nothing?
I think that's A Wrinkle in Time, maybe?
No, I've never read that. Anyway, they released a press release, Tim, to announce the new album, and I'm going to read it for you now, verbatim. "Deep within our earth lives an extraordinary force. Very few are aware of the magnitude and significance of this place where good, evil, dark light, bliss, torment, loss, gain, and hope and despair all exist as one, pulling us at every moment as we live. It's not something we can choose to navigate, but rather an awareness of this presence that surrounds us in every breath, as if we are all being watched at every moment. It's the place where black and white energies attach themselves to our souls and shape our emotion, choices, perspective, and ultimately our very existence. There is a miraculous and small realm within this vortex, and it's the only place where balance between these dynamic, polarizing forces exist, where the soul finds its refuge. Welcome to The Nothing."
Garrett, I've been hard on Korn in the past. I think I'm going to like this one.
I do not think so.
It seems on the level.
Right. I also think it might be a description for season 3 of Stranger Things.
Oh.
Or the ramblings of a 16-year-old me. Moving on, Tim. The Edge sadly will not be building a series of small castles in Malibu. The Edge and his wife bought 150 acres of land for just under $9 million in 2005 because money means nothing to them.
I have to say, for Malibu, that seems kind of cheap.
Well, it's just the land, but yes, that does seem incredibly cheap. But I think you're going to understand why they got it for such a steal in a moment. Now, his plan was to build 5 insanely huge houses on what is currently just a unpopulated, beautiful ridge overlooking the ocean. And so he wanted to build this new 5-home compound and call it Leaves in the Wind. Now, the Coastal Commission took a look at his plan and said, in effect, you've got to be kidding. The commission rejected the Edge's claim that they were 5 separate owners, contending instead that he was using a series of LLCs, which U2 is renowned for, in order to mask the fact that he would be owning all 5 homes, and wanted to essentially destroy the coastline in what was called the most impactful climate proposal in the history of the council. I think that wraps up my music news of the weird. Tim, what do you got?
Well, Garrett, the city of Columbus, Ohio is celebrating their native sons, Ty-Joe and Josh Dunn, as Nationwide Boulevard in Columbus is going to be renamed 21 Pilots Boulevard. Now, this is only a temporary change that, I guess whenever this airs, it will have occurred on June 29th and 30th, while 21 Pilots are performing there. Still, though, I mean, you get those street signs for a couple of days. That's pretty cool, right?
Why bother? It's egregious to do it to begin with, but if you're going to spend the money, you're going to make the signs, you're going to put them up, and then you're going to pay some poor son of a bitch to go and take them back down. Like,
they're just making Ty-Joe and Josh Dunn feel good. That's all it's about.
It doesn't matter. They're millionaires with a worldwide following for whatever reason. They don't need a street temporarily named after them so they feel better.
The city of Columbus disagrees.
Imagine being a Columbus City worker who's like, what are we doing? Well, you're going to take all those signs down and replace them with this one. Oh, we renamed a bunch of stuff? No, like next Tuesday, we're going to need to take them all down and don't throw away the other ones. We're going to put them right back up. Are you serious? Great. No, it's not hot out at all.
Good news, G. Roach. Slipknot has announced a signature whiskey in collaboration with Iowa-based Cedar Ridge Distillery. They are calling it Number 9 Whiskey. It is 90 proof. There is also a Number 9 Iowa Reserve, which is 99 proof. I assume all the 9s are due to them having 9 people in the band.
Oh, I get it. Damn it. What's wrong? Are they all 14?
Yes, they're terrible. They're stupid, stupid people.
Look, you and I, we're stupid.
Yeah.
This show's stupid. It's fun. That's what it's meant to be. But they're like kind of serious. And they got like a crow.
Well, that's the thing about the whiskey, Garrett. At the bottom of every one of those bottles of whiskey is going to be a dead crow. And not just a crow that was killed specifically for this. They are true to their art form, Garrett. That crow is going to be scraped off a street somewhere in the Iowa summer heat and placed into that bottle of whiskey for your consumption.
We do our whiskey different. Every bottle contains one dead crow. First, we build the bottle. Then, we carefully, meticulously stuff a live crow in that bottle.
No, better is they build the bottle around an egg.
Hi there. When you think of Iowa or the hit band Slipknot, you may not think about whiskey, but we're here to change that. You see, out here at Slipknot Distillery, we do things a little different, and it starts with our bottles. Each one of our glass bottles is blown by hand, and just before we shape the neck, we place a live incubating crow egg in the bottom to complete its gestation in the still warming embrace of a Slipknot whiskey bottle. After hatching, we raise that crow using a combination of complex animatronics and a staff of highly trained animal puppeteers. Each bird is cared for as it would be in the wild, being taught to forage, nest build, and even fly, completely contained within the confines of their bottles. You should see it. One of God's great glories. Upon reaching maturity, the bottle is brought to the fill house, and that bird has the honor of being drowned in 750 milliliters of delicious golden Iowa whiskey. We know what you're thinking. Sure, it takes a little longer and it might cost a bit more, but we think you'll taste the difference. Slipknot whiskey. Won't you taste the crow? If anyone is confused, go see our Slipknot episode and many other episodes where we reference tasting crows. It happened.
The whiskey will be available for purchase at Knotfest roadshows and in every state of the nation starting on August 10th. Even better news, G. Roach, on August 9th.
Hey, I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second. That's 2 G. Roaches, and we had an agreement, I thought, where I wasn't going to call you suckballs. You were going to call me G. Roach.
See, you're very close to getting stabbed. Very close.
I don't think you have it in you, Birdman.
I will peck
You've lost
you
a
to
lot
death.
of blood.
Anyway, even better news, on August 9th, a day before the whiskey comes out, Slipknot will be releasing their next album, We Are Not Your Kind. So there's no official word yet, but people are saying, we've been hearing, that the album is nothing more than a publicity stunt to raise awareness of their whiskey brand, and that most of the songs will simply be commercial jingles for said whiskey. It's a real Jimmy Buffett move. Remember him, Garrett?
Or a Florida Georgia line. Oh, I remember Jimmy
James
Buffett.
Buffet, Jibu.
Well, I didn't call him those things, and one of those things I'm pretty sure is a racial epithet, but
We can't prove that, so
I think we can. Wow. Great news, Tim. Disturbing, great news. Can't wait for that album and bird-laden whiskey.
I feel like we owe it to ourselves to try a bottle, right?
A bottle is a large sum.
Well, okay, you get a bottle, I get a bottle. Maybe one of us, I mean, I guess the winner is obviously who has the smaller crow in their bottle.
I think the winner is who can get the most crow down. This is going to be crab juice all over again.
Oh, God.
All right, Tim, that brings us to my favorite part of the show where we announce what album are we going to be talking about next week.
Next week, we are going to be talking about Katy Perry's 2010 album, Teenage Dream. This was a recommendation to us by Ellen.
Like the Ellen?
Unclear. She just signs her emails Ellen.
I mean, that's how Ellen does it.
Yeah, so it might be Ellen.
Show's called Ellen.
Yeah, you know what? It's almost certainly Ellen.
We're going to have to assume it was Ellen DeGeneres. All right, Ellen DeGeneres, thank you for the recommendation. We will not disappoint. I don't know anything about this person or this album.
The only thing I know about this album is that this is the one that has firework on it, and I've seen that music video, and there's a lot of fireworks fired from breasts. Now, Garrett, you in college enjoyed fireworks. You enjoyed fighting with fireworks. I remember on at least one occasion we stood back to back, took 10 paces out, turned and fired Roman candles at each other.
We did. I only went 8.
Hell yeah. So I caught one in the back of the head before I turned around. I just thought you were stepping quicker than I was.
No, I was cheating.
The point is, I imagine we're both going to really enjoy this.
Yeah, as I recall, I enjoyed fireworks and breasts in college, so this only stands to be doubly good for me.
Yeah.
But hey, there's something in there for you too, though. Fireworks.
Yep, I do love
Good
fireworks.
stuff. You sure do. No matter what they're getting shot out of or into.
Oh my God.
I think it has the potential to either be the next Gwen Stefani, lobster bassoon asshole bikini market, or it could be, who is that terrible one I hated so much?
Carrie Underwood.
That's it. I hope it's not that. I really hated that album. Carrie Underwood, your music is forgettable.
Agreed.
Okay, Tim, I think that brings us to the end of the show. As always, please rate, review, subscribe. Most importantly, tell your friends. Let people know if you like the show and you think somebody else might like the show. Say, hey, listen to these two a-holes. And ultimately, we're going to get them to start from the beginning, but throw them towards your favorite episode. You getting excited about it gets them excited about it, and them getting excited, well, that gets Tim all excited all over again.
Yes, and like John Ashcroft, if I get excited, I have to immediately hide the cause of my excitement.
Yeah, no, he will just hide under a curtain for hours.
No, I'll hide them under a curtain for hours.
I do not think we can say that. Reach out to us at hatePodMail@gmail.com or go to hatepod.com and click on Contact Us in the upper left-hand corner. You can also reach out directly to either one of us by hitting us up on Twitter at AlbumHatePod or going to us on Instagram at HatePod. You can also find us on YouTube, though I can never remember the URL. Tim, did I leave anything out?
You're fixing the website still, maybe?
Yes, that is, that's going to become a running gag.
I really don't want it to. Fix the website.
Yeah, I'm working on it. It's not hard, it's tedious. You fix the website.
I can't. This is your job.
I know. Well, yeah, it is.
I
It is my
write
job.
the episodes, you fix the website.
You and I are going to have a talk. For Why I Hate This Album, I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been the other, Tim Richardson.
There's cowboys running through my dreams. Nothing's quite the way it seems. I joined the Navy, got kicked out in a week. My facial features aren't distinct. Try to find some meaning in these songs. The genius is a genius, got it wrong. No, it's a lobster murder sex thing. It's the bleaching of the rear. A full assault on both your ears. riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides, the cover art's a mess. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's the Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.